Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Embrace the Variance. Wow, I can't believe it's been over 10 years since we played at MarylandLive. For those of you who don't know, I grew up in Gaithersburg, Maryland, 25 minutes outside of DC. Due to me being severely allergic to the cold, I moved back to Florida in 2011. I flew back home for this particular weekend for my good friend's 40th birthday and to visit some family. Oh, and of course, to play some cards. Although we did play one session where we got dealt 5 cards, we won't be going over any PLO hands, but if this is something that interests you, please comment below. In the future, I do plan on doing a few PLO videos here and there. Let's dive into the action. We decide to not wait around and we jump into the action, into a 1-3 no limit game. We buy in for the max. We don't play for that long, we lose $11 and we head to the 2-5 game. The 2-5 game maximum buy-in here is $1,000, so we buy in for $9.89, which is the max minus our $11 loss. So jumping right into hand number 1, we pick up pocket 8s in the cutoff. The hijack limps, we decide to isolate to $30 and all of our opponents fold. Easy game. After winning the small pot with Jack 9 off in a limp fest, we pick up Ace-4 diamonds in the big blind. The button raises to $20. Considering the button should have a wide range here, we have a premium candidate to 3-bet with. We do indeed 3-bet to $100. We typically size anywhere between 4 to 5 times the raise amount, depending on the stack depth. No confrontation this time, our opponent folds. The main villain in this next hand is a player who sits down to our direct right. He buys in for $500. He proceeds to limp under the gun. We look down at Ace-10 of clubs and we decide to raise to $25. A fun tilted player to our direct left calls. The button decides to call. The under the gun player now strangely decides to limp re-raise to $75. This is an extremely strange sizing. I typically give a lot of credit to limp re-raises, especially off smaller stacks, but I felt our hand was way too strong to fold to this sizing. I also felt the players behind us would most likely also call, so we're only risking $50 to win a pot of what will most likely be at least $300. All the players still have money behind, so this is a mandatory call. All the players behind us do indeed call. The pot is $300 4 ways. To our delight, we see a positive variance flop of Ace-10-3. It gets even better when our opponent decides to jam all in for $425. We make the call and the other opponents get out of the way. We embrace the variance and we hold against Ace-Jack offsuit. Alright, this next hand we're in the big blind. We pick up Ace-10 suited again, this time the diamond version. The under the gun, the middle position, and the button all limp. When it gets to us, we decide to raise it up to 40. The under the gun player calls, and everyone else gets out the way. We are heads up, the under the gun has about 1,000, and we have him covered. We see a flop of Jack 10-3. We make a continuation bet of 65, and our opponent mucks. Alright, this next hand we played absolutely horrendously. Feel free to destroy me in the comments. So we are in middle position and we pick up a couple of ladies. The low jack and button both call. We see a flop 3 ways. We are about 1K effective with the low jack and about 500 effective with the button. The pot's $60. We flop top set on the board of Queen 8-3, Rainbow. And for some reason we decide to check. Well, the reason was we were looking to trap the aggro tilted fun guy to our left. In retrospect, I think we should either down bet here for about 1/3, hoping to induce, or consider betting about half pot for value. There are a few gutter balls that we can get called by, Jack 9, 10-9. They're both in our opponent's range. We also can get called by an 8 and possibly even bottom pair. I would love to have this one back, but as played, we decide to go ahead and check. And our opponent on the button, once check 2, bets 30. We decide to call and the low jack calls. The turn is a 5 of spades and once again, we decide to check. At this point, we allow our opponent to take the betting lead. When our opponent on the button bets $55, I think we should check raise here for value. we can get called by flush draws and combo draws. We get greedy and instead just decide to call, hoping we can check raise the river. And the river is the 3 of hearts. We decide to check once again, giving our opponents the opportunity to take a stab, but unfortunately both of our opponents decide to check. After that absolute debacle, a few hands later we pick up pocket 10s in the small blind. The under the gun and a middle position player limp, the cutoff raises to 20. This is an extremely small sizing over 2 limps. From my experience, this doesn't represent a very strong hand. The button now decides to call. Facing this action, there's no way we're not putting in a 3-bet. We make it 130. Surprisingly, or I should say unsurprisingly, the fun player to our left decides to call. Everyone else folds and we're going heads up. We are about $1,000 effective. We see a flop of 744 rainbow. We decide to put in a 1/3 bet of $100. We would be making this bet with almost our entire range. The only hands I think we would be checking here would be aces, pocket 7s, ace 4 suited, and 5-4 suited. Our opponent doesn't give us any resistance and he decides to fold. Alright, this next hand is pretty exciting. We are in middle position, we pick up pocket aces, we raise to 20, and everyone folds. We couldn't even get a call from the fun guy to our left. The next hand we pick up ace-king offsuit in the cutoff. We raise to $25 over 1 limp. The button, the big blind, and the limper all call. We go 4 ways to a flop of 10-8-7. This is a terrible flop for our hand. In this situation, we will be doing a lot of checking. So we do indeed check. It checks through on the flop. The turn is a 3 of clubs, bringing in a backdoor flush draw. We again check. It checks through. The river is a 6 of spades. We once again check, and we fold to a bet of $100. So this next hand, we pick up pocket 9s under the gun. We open to 20. We get 4 callers, and we're going to a flop 5 ways. The pot's about $90. Flop comes ace, jack, 7, rainbow. The big blind docks into the whole entire field, and everyone folds. This last and final hand of the afternoon, we look down at queen jack of diamonds in the cutoff. The middle position player opens to 20. He's playing about $1,000. When it gets to us, we decide to 3-bet here to 60. We're going to be 3-betting here with a large portion of our range. We're going to be 3-betting in a linear fashion. And once again, as in previous hands, the fun player to our left decides to call. We're going to be seeing a flop 3 ways. The flop comes out 10-9-3. We decide to make a half pot continuation bet of 90 with our open and straight draw, 2 overs, and backdoor flush draw. Both of our opponents call. We see a brick turn, the 5 of hearts. The middle position player checks. We also decide to check, and fortunately, the button also checks. The river is the beautiful 8 of hearts, giving us the nutter butters. Now our opponent decides to lead into us for 100, and we have a decision to make. We can either raise smallish to like 250 to try to get called by 1 pair, maybe a 2-pair hand. We could go for gold and move all in and try to get called by a smaller straight. We ultimately decide to, and we make it 450. Unfortunately, neither one of our opponents had a hand and they both fold. Shortly after this hand, we played a few more hands before we decided to rack up and head to the birthday party. It was a successful trip back to Maryland. We won back-to-back sessions. This session we were in for $989 and out for $2,210. Our second session we played 2 days later before flying back to Florida. We played 1-3 while we waited for our 2-2 5-card PLO seat. We finished down $55 in the 1-3 game, and we finished up $864 in the 2-2 PLO game. I will definitely be coming back to Maryland more frequently, as the Tampa airport is only about 10 minutes from my condo, and there's a Holiday Inn shuttle that picks you up from the BWI airport and takes you straight to the hotel. The shuttle also drops you off at the casino. and will pick you up when you need a ride back. I stayed at the Holiday Inn Express for absolutely free by using my points. If you're interested in learning how to travel for free, please see the link in my description. Thank you guys for watching, and remember, embrace the variance in life and in poker.